What's up, everyone? Sam Stewart here with another alumni episode here on the present tense. And today I'm speaking with my very good friend, Michael Zito. Zito, thank you for joining me today.
Of course, man. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, look, you came on season 2 of the show way back. So a lot's happened in your life since then. So kind of fill in the viewer after you finished pitching for W&J. What kind of journey have you taken in baseball?
Yeah, man. Let me hold this?
Sure.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead.
All right. So, graduated from W&J in May of 2021. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee originally. So, went back home for my master's degree at Belmont University. Wanted to do something in sports. So, they had a really good sports administration program. Knew I didn't want to pay rent while I was paying for a master's degree. So, it was kind of an easy option whenever I got accepted there. Uh, had the option to go and pitch in some indie ball leagues, but didn't really feel like it was the right fit just from an arm health standpoint. So went to Belmont. Didn't really know what I wanted to get into, just something involving sports. The baseball program at Belmont is in the Missouri Valley Conference, a Division I program. They had an opening for their director of baseball operations, so I did that for about a year and a half. Got to work in a Division I program, which was really cool. And then I graduated last May and was looking for a job in coaching. Division III, obviously close to my heart because of the presidents here, and my professional, idol is Coach Jeff Mountain. So his former assistant coach Rush is now the head coach at Chatham University. So I'm over there in the pack still, and looking forward to being, I guess, an opponent of the presidents in the near future.
So, Zito, one thing that I really wanted to ask you, throughout this whole journey of these last couple years, you finished in the COVID year, things are kind of crazy in that last year. So, what's the biggest advice heading out of that year? Maybe on the last day you leave this campus and you venture into this new chapter of your life. What advice would you give to that person as you began that new chapter? Because one theme on the show we've continued to talk about over these last 7 seasons of the show is new chapters in your life. So that was a big chapter of your life, W&J. You love the presidents, but at the same time, you've been very successful and moving upward in your new chapter. So, what's the biggest advice you could have given the kid who walked off this field for the last time?
That's a tough one. The best decision of my life was to come to W&J, 100%. Coach Mountain, like I said, an idol of mine. I would like to say I'm a man of pretty high character, been through a good amount of struggles in my life. And it took me until I became a president that I realized that I needed to toughen up a little bit. And Coach Mountain really just, the culture that he builds here, there's no I, it's all for the betterment of the program. So I knew wherever I was going to go, I just need to give max effort to whoever I was going to help in my future endeavors. So I think I did a pretty good job of that. I told myself whatever I do, I want to do something with love and passion. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but now I'm back into coaching, like I said previously, and all I want to do is to be able to help people have the best student athlete experience that they can possibly have, because mine was really top notch. I honestly don't think there's a better place for me, or really a better place to be a student athlete, than be a member of the baseball program here at W&J.
Now, for you, Zito, you were talking about the way Coach Mountain has impacted you. What about his coaching style do you feel like made such an impact on you and made you want to be a coach in that next chapter of your life? Was it the way he organized the practices? Was it the way he treated you and had a personal relationship with you? What specific aspects do you feel like about this program inspired you?
So, like I said, when I was a freshman, I was that shy, nervous kid, was really hard on myself, just really wanted to succeed, didn't really know how to go about being successful. Came from an academic high school. We were terrible at sports. So, like, I was always the best player in any sport that I played. So I was like, oh, success is easy. Didn't really know how to actually acquire success without just being the guy who everyone looked up to, because we just weren't very athletic. So I came here, had a lot of struggles my freshman year, and I really thought, like, maybe this isn't the place for me. Coach Mountain on my butt, my tail, 24/7. I mean, it could be the simplest thing as looking into my glove, and he was on me about it. And I was like, man, this guy doesn't like me. Everyone was like, no, he loves you. He loves you. Like, he's expressing love through coaching you hard. I was like, oh, maybe he is. So I took that next summer, worked really hard, came back and earned a role as a sophomore, and then you know I really started to experience and witness why he was coaching me so hard, because it led to such great success as a team and for myself individually. And then right before, or maybe a week into the season, my sophomore year, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Uh, thank God she's good. She beat it. She's 5 years now in remission, so it's all good. But the way that he expressed love and anything that he could do to help my family and help me just from a mental standpoint will forever be life changing, and I can't say thank you enough for the way he went about his business about that way. So um, I'm forever indebted for him and to my teammates for how they treated me and helped me just really love being a part of what I had here. So like I said, that's what I want to do with kids now. So anything that I can or can do to help people experience that love, that's what I'm gonna do.
Wow, thank you for sharing. That's a really powerful anecdote. And, one thing I've just been thinking about while we're sitting out here the entire time is like, you probably have so many memories out here from the start to the finish to even, coming back here and just doing an interview now. Like, what's your favorite memory out of the many that you've had here at Ross Memorial Park?
Just specifically at RMP.
I got to go RMP. Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, it would be easy to say it, but being on the bottom of the dog pile my senior year, even though it was extremely painful and I felt like I might have died at a certain point, uh, I took a lot of trying to find the best word. My teammates before me, specifically like Clay Martin, who's now the pitching coach at Seton Hill, he talked about how great it was being on the bottom of the dog piles 3 times when we won our conference tournament, the regional and super regional, my sophomore year in 2019. And he was a guy that I still look up to this day. So whenever he was explained to me, God, just wait, man, you're gonna be the guy stepping into my shoes next year. It's something that's unforgettable, and I can't wait for you to do it. And when it eventually did happen, he was right. It was awesome, and like I said, even though I felt like I was suffocating, it's something that I wish I could go back to every day.
Wow, that's awesome. And one thing is you were a closer, and the closer is probably one of the most interesting positions in baseball. You kind of have to go in a very specific situation, not when you're up by too much, not when you're down by too much, just when the game's close. So, I mean, for a while you were up there in terms of saves. At the top of the leaderboard, we had Dante DiMatteo come through and break the record that both you and Coach Clay set. But as one of the great closers in W&J's history, like, what kind of advice could you give to relief pitchers? Because you were always a guy who was really locked in, ready to go, but it's not an easy thing, coming in for one inning stint. So, what do you feel like made you successful as a closer?
Everyone, I would say, you can correct me if I'm wrong. When you were in high school, were you a starting pitcher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people are starters, or they view themselves as starters at an early age in baseball. I didn't know what necessarily I was going to be at W&J, but I knew I started games in high school. And something that, why W&J is so successful is they have such a deep pitching staff. But a lot of guys can have their sense of self pride and ego kind of stop them from being a relief pitcher. Like, oh, I want the ball every Friday night or every Saturday morning, or I want to be the guy who steps foot on the mound first. Like, I want to be the starter, which I completely understand. We've had many of great starters here um, in the President's program, but it's something that you have to put away your ego, and you really got to embrace being there and wanting to be the guy for your team to finish games. Like I said, I'm a big humble guy. I don't like to brag about myself or talk myself up very much, but I do take pride in being a guy that, whether it was on the field or off the field, like, people could always come to me and count on me. Um, I feel like I did that at a very high level, both on the field and off, but specifically from a pitching mindset, you just got to be zoned in. And Coach Mountain, even keel, 100%. You got to be even keel. Yeah, right. Yeah, have to be even keel But I feel like the role of a closer or a back end relief pitcher, you can be a little bit more on the fiery side, which I definitely had in me. I might not have shown it a ton, but it was really fun to be able to just go out there and kind of just slam the door.
Now, Zito, for you, one thing we've been talking about so much, I think, just reflecting on my sports journey, but also um, you and everyone else kind of on this year's episodes of the present tense has been the power of sports. So, why do you feel like people are attracted to sports? What draws a society like ours to love sports as much as it does? What do sports give people?
Hmm. I'll give like the generic answer first.
Okay.
So like sports is entertainment. It's something that people can hope they're or they wish they were in that person's shoes. You know, the guy scoring the touchdown, the guy closing out the World Series, stuff like that. It's entertainment. It's fun to watch. Um, Me from a small school Division 3 landscape, I'm a fan of wanting to be a part of something that's not just for like the monetary value. Um,
Mm.
you know, I've nothing like say I go and coach someone who gets drafted in the MLB. That would be amazing. I'd be so happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal and what I think Division 3 landscape is so great about is what we are trying to teach our players is not only going to help them on the field, it's going to help them in the classroom, but most importantly, it's going to build character and composure that will translate to life after sport. I tell the people I work with now, and Coach Mountain did the same thing. Like, what we are doing is hard. We are coaching you and teaching you very hard, but it's going to make you a better husband, father, friend later in the future. So that's what I think the beauty of sport is. It really builds you up as a person, and it makes you realize that you can't just want to win for yourself. You got to win for your team. You got to win for your family, and you got to win, you know, for the people who are counting on you.
And thank you for persisting to that answer through a little bit of sprinkles here. But with that in mind, what do you feel like has drawn you specifically to be a baseball coach? I know you like a lot of sports. You like football, basketball, but obviously you played baseball the longest. But I know you are just a fan of sports in general. But what do you feel like you love so much about baseball coaching in specific? I was talking to Sammy Schuster. He wants to be a coach, and no doubt he'll be a great coach. But for you, like even when you were one of those guys, I could see like that was probably gonna get into the coaching scheme in baseball. And for a lot of people, myself included, I just couldn't see myself coaching baseball. I think it takes a unique, really kind of person. So why baseball, and how is baseball coaching unique from say football or soccer or even basketball?
Oof, that's an interesting question. Like I said, I didn't really know I wanted to be a coach. I feel like I'm a pretty relatable person. My mom was a teacher. My dad is kind of a everyone who knows them loves them kind of guy. I feel like I kind of am the same way, just like I can relate to a lot of people. So kind of if I knew I wanted to get into coaching, no matter the sport I played, I feel like I coaching that specific sport would have I'd have lent myself well to it. Baseball specifically, you know, it's the really generic answer. It's a game of failure.
Mm.
That's something, you know, like I said, I struggled with a lot as a younger kid. Like I just didn't want to fail, but you have to really embrace the failure. It's something that, like I said, builds character and composure. If you can tell your kids or, you know, the people that I'm coaching nowadays is that losing is a learning moment. Another sports cliche, but it really is. You got to embrace the failure. You got to embrace losing, and you got to do everything that you can to win the day. So that's what I like to preach. You know, anything that you can do to maximize yourself and your teammates around you on the given day.
So we had to move inside because a little bit of rain. But the question I was about to ask you, Zito, is when you're coaching a kid, what is the biggest trait that you feel like it takes to be successful in baseball?
Like I said, Stu, this is going to be something more from the heart, not something that you like intangibles or metrics that can make a player successful. But this is a little bit more personal. In the 2019 World Series run, um, we played against 9 to 12 draft picks. And do you know how many draft picks were on the Presidents?
Zero.
Zero. Zero. I tell everyone the reason we won and went so far that year is just because we loved being teammates. Just the simple things of, waking up and doing 6 a.m. conditioning, going to eat breakfast together, go to have class together, enjoy an off day together. We love doing that so much as a unit. We just didn't want to have that stop. And I swear that's the reason why we went so far and we're so successful. So, like I said earlier, you just got to preach love to your players. There's no I. You want to have to succeed and you want to win for your brothers.
Now, for you, Zito, you've had experience now at the D1 level too. You obviously had that great run at the D3 level, but you got to coach a D1 program. So, what do you feel like were the lessons that you learned at the D1 program that you're trying to incorporate into the Chatham program now?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I was necessarily a coach. Director of ops. It was really cool. It was a nice title they gave me. I wouldn't say that the players actually viewed me as a coach, but more as like a support staff member. But I'm beyond thankful for my time at Belmont. Um, this is in no way, shape, or form me bashing the Belmont Bruins, but I wasn't a huge fan of how they went about their business. Not a storied, successful program such as like a W&J, and this would probably relate to all levels, but it was just a lot of complacency there. Of we're a 500 ball club and we're okay with it, which I didn't necessarily love. So it was something that I could take away and say, okay, I know I don't want to be someone who is complacent. That being said, there was a ton of positives. The pitching coach there is someone that I highly admire, Coach AJ Gora. He's someone that is going to have an incredibly successful future in this business, whether it is as a Power Five head coach or a pitching coach in the major league level someday. I think he's unbelievable. So from a technology and a metric standpoint, like I really didn't know how to break down film, how to diagnose pitch shape or anything like that. And during my time there, my main role was breaking down opposing pitchers' films for our hitters. So I would spend 10 to 15 hours a week in season just watching opposing pitchers that we were faced and write a whole report on it. Okay. To help our hitters be prepared as possible. So that was definitely the biggest growing and learning point that I had there, and something that I could translate hopefully to Chatham University.
Well, Zito, we had to move inside again. You have any memories of Coach Mountain talking about Rain Delays?
He should be hired by a news channel in downtown Pittsburgh because
in that weather.
He knows exactly there's a window, and then like I said, this is good. We got to adjust. Come on, man. So I love it. Hopefully he sees that.
Yeah. But both teams got to deal with it, right? That's what he always says. So specifically, you were a 2A guy. So what do you try to implement in terms of drills? What group do you like working most with? Are you a pitching coach at Chatham right now? Do you work with the hitters? What's the deal there?
Right now, I work with all of our position guys, catchers, infielders, outfielders, hitters. Me and Coach Rush kind of tag team that. I'm very thankful for Coach Rush. He's kind of treating me the same way that Coach Mountain treated him. Just however much say or input I want to have, he is going to give me the leeway to do that. So the biggest thing that I preach, and something that I learned from Belmont's associate head coaches, is warming up with really high intent. If you're going to be successful at the next level, you can't just play catch for the sake of playing catch. You can't just hit for the sake of hitting. So I implemented that all of our outfielders, our catchers, and our infielders warm up with very specific goals in mind of throwing. So you aren't just going to be sitting back and throwing the ball 150 feet. You're going to be doing it with one shuffle off a backhand with the goal of long hopping, the relays, all that stuff, working your footwork in the outfield, over the shoulder catches, and then our catchers. What's the number one thing, or what does a catcher do every time he gets to touch the ball? Mm-hmm. So they work specifically on receiving every single day with heavy and weighted balls. So playing catch with the purpose is huge. You can't just go out there expect to get better by just, going through the motions.
Now, Zito, for you, just a couple, just personal questions. What is something that you haven't got to do in your life yet that you still want to do?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I'm not the most well traveled person. It was not a very big family vacation. It was just we played sports year round. We didn't go to camps. We went to vacations if my grandparents wanted to. Outside of that, we really didn't do a whole lot of travel unless it was for sport. So everyone that knows me, like they know I take very high pride in being Italian. Zito, I'm blessed with a unbelievable last name. My grandparents are from Western Pennsylvania, actually Washington specifically. My grandfather Frank Zito was the superintendent of McGuffey's school district for 25 years, and his father, so my great grandfather Salvatore Zito, is from Palermo, Sicily originally. So that if I could go and visit the homeland of Sicily, I would love to do that someday.
Now, for you, Zito, what do you feel like you want your legacy to be wherever you coach? What kind of impact do you want to leave on a program? How do you want it to be remembered? Whether it be, at W&J, at Belmont, at Chatham, wherever you end up in the future. What do you want people to remember about Michael Zito?
Obviously, I hope that wherever I go, there's a high level of success. But the thing that I want people to take away most from me is that I was not just some authority figure for 4 years. I'm a guy that you'll be able to call 20 years down the road if you ever need help. And same to my teammates and to the players I'm coaching now. Simply put, just I always will love them, and whatever I can do to help them in any future endeavors, I will support them 100%. That's what I'm about, and anything I can do to help people, I'm here for it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. And one thing I want to give you the opportunity to do to wrap up today is, it's funny because I feel like the quote of the day is one of the most recognizable parts of the present tense now, but we actually didn't do this when Zito came on for the first time. If you remember, we didn't do the quote of the day. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, but I remember you had one by Dr. Seuss that you told me you wanted to say. There's a lot of ones. So whatever you want to give us today, I feel like I robbed you the first time. Just a couple weeks later, the quote of the day segment, as we know it now, was born. It's kind of well known now as probably the most well known part of the show. So I don't want to rob you this opportunity to give us your favorite quote and or quotes, because I know you're a big quote guy.
I am a big quote guy.
So I'll give you a second to think about it. You tell me when you're ready.
I think I got
All right, you ready? All right.
Yeah. I'll shorten it.
Okay.
Like I said, big Italian guy, so that obviously means my favorite movie is Rocky. So I'll go to Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa. I'll shorten it. The world is a mean and nasty place, and it will beat you to your knees permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody's going to hit as hard as life. That's, I feel like, is a great way to go about your business. You're never going to necessarily beat life. You just need to go with the flow and take the punches. I don't want to get extremely personal, but I'll get a little bit. I feel like I've done that pretty well in my life. Like I said, my mom went through cancer. My parents got divorced when I was at a very young age. One of my best friends died my sophomore year of high school. That's why I wore the number 18 at W&J for him. So, like, been through a lot of hardships, and I feel like I picked myself off the mat every single time, and I feel that the more times you can beat the 10 count than not, you're going to be very successful whatever you do.
Wow. What a great quote, Zito, and thank you so much for coming and being flexible with the weather and everything. And listen, man, just in my own personal experience, thank you for being such a good friend, and I'll definitely remember you in the way you said you want to be described, as a good friend who I can always call. And, if there were more people like Michael Zito in the world would be better players. So, Zito, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, and everyone remember to have a great day and live.
Can I have one shout out?
Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I guess a couple shout outs. My Lasecos, I love you. And obviously working for Coach Rush now, Marissa Rush, keep fighting. We all got your back.
For sure. Two great shout outs there. Thank you once again, Zito. Everyone have a great day and remember to live the present time.